The boy was dying. He needed blood. But his own father couldn't save him, because he wasn't his father at all. That was the moment Sheriff Daniel Griggs' world collapsed. 23 years of marriage. 6 beautiful children. A white picket fence, Sunday church, and barbecue dinners. All of it shattered by a single lab result at St. Helena County Hospital. The blood didn't match. Welcome to True Crime Channel, your portal into the most chilling true crime cases, unsolved mysteries, and the darkest corners of criminal history. If you are new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. In today's case, we dig deep into the facts, uncover shocking twists, and explore the theories that keep investigators, and the world, on edge. Stay back and enjoy. Daniel had rushed little Micah, their 12-year-old son, to the ER after a bike accident left him with massive internal bleeding. The doctors said he needed a transfusion now. "We'll start with the father," the nurse said. Minutes later, she returned with a pale face. "Sheriff Griggs, we need to talk." The blood wasn't compatible. It wasn't just a mismatch, it was a biological impossibility. Still dazed, Daniel agreed to a full DNA panel. Maybe it was a mix-up. Maybe he'd been handed the wrong baby. Maybe anything, except what came next. None of the 6 kids were his. At first he thought it was some mistake. A faulty test. But when the second and third rounds confirmed it, reality hit like a sledgehammer. His wife, Caroline, hadn't just cheated on him. She had built their entire family on a lie. Daniel didn't say a word that night. He sat in his patrol car for hours, staring at the framed family photo on his dashboard. His hands shook. His mind raced. 23 years. How could she do this? The next morning he called in sick. Then he dug. Caroline's old phone records. Her journals. Odd receipts from years ago. And finally, a photo from 2001. Caroline, barely 20, holding baby Noah in her arms, standing next to her younger brother Thomas. His hand resting gently, almost too gently, on her shoulder. Thomas. The kid brother who practically lived with them through the years. The one who helped babysit when Daniel worked late. The one who Caroline always said had nowhere else to go. Daniel's stomach turned. The more he looked, the more it added up. The kids' ears. Their walk. The dimple on their left cheek. Just like him. Not like Daniel. He didn't confront her right away. He needed to see it. So, on a stormy Thursday night, he told her he was going to a regional sheriff's conference 2 towns over. Instead, he doubled back and parked down the street from his own house. A cold stakeout in his own goddamn driveway. At 1:23 a.m., headlights beamed down the lane. A white Dodge Ram. Thomas. Daniel watched as Thomas slipped into the back door like he'd done it 100 times. The lights stayed off. No shadows. No voices. Just silence. Until the bedroom lamp clicked on. And Daniel's world went red. The next morning, Caroline was reported missing. The search went on for 3 days. Flyers. Social media posts. Candlelight vigils. Daniel even faked a tear or two at the press conference. "I just want my wife home," he said, gripping the podium, his wedding ring still on. In truth, she was already buried in a shallow grave behind Miller's Creek. The same place they used to go fishing when they first dated. Daniel's rage wasn't spent. He drove to Thomas's place that same night. Thomas greeted him with a nervous smile, holding a 6-pack. "Thought we could talk, man?" They did. The neighbors reported hearing loud bangs around 10:42 p.m. Police found Thomas's body the next morning. His skull crushed, his jaw shattered. No one could identify the weapon. Daniel had thrown it into the quarry on his way home. That should have been it. A revenge tale. End of story. But it wasn't. Because Daniel didn't stop. The more he dug into Caroline's past, the darker it got. Thomas hadn't been the first. Or the last. Old journal entries hinted at something worse. Something predatory. Family gatherings blurred with lines no one should cross. Daniel began calling family members one by one. Some were evasive. Others terrified. A cousin confessed that Caroline and Thomas had always been close, too close. A family friend hinted at rumors of abuse going back decades. Daniel was no longer hunting traitors. He was erasing rot from the family tree. By the end of the month, 3 more people were dead. A childhood babysitter who looked the other way. A step-uncle who didn't believe the kids. And Daniel's own father-in-law, who'd once paid for an abortion Caroline never spoke about. The sheriff's office began connecting the dots. But no one wanted to believe it. Not Daniel. Not the man who rescued flood victims, donated to youth baseball, prayed before every town meeting. Still, whispers grew louder. Then one night Daniel disappeared. His badge was left on his desk. His service weapon gone. A note pinned to the wall with a hunting knife. The devil built a house and I lived in it. I just burned it down. They never found him. Some say he fled south, started over under a new name. Others believe he took his own life. But every few years, a similar story pops up in a small town. Family secrets, dead bodies, and a stranger who vanishes before dawn. The Griggs children were placed in protective custody. DNA tests confirmed the unthinkable. All 6 were Thomas's biological kids. The oldest, Noah, never spoke to reporters. He dropped out of college and moved to an undisclosed location. The youngest, Micah, the boy who needed blood, survived the surgery. He lives with foster parents now, silent and withdrawn. But here's the part no one talks about. A year later, on the anniversary of Caroline's disappearance, someone left a bouquet of white lilies on her grave. No name. No note. Just a single photo of the Griggs family, torn straight down the middle. Micah Griggs hadn't said anything since the night the sheriff vanished. Not to his foster parents. Not to his therapist. Not even to his siblings during those stiff, supervised reunions. They called it trauma-induced mutism. But that wasn't it. Micah was waiting. It was on his 13th birthday when he finally opened the wooden toy box his father built for him years ago. Carved with deer antlers, the sheriff's badge etched into the side, and his name burned across the top, Micah. It hadn't been touched since the night of the accident. Inside, beneath old action figures, dusty toy trucks, and a stack of drawing paper, Micah found a false bottom. A thin sheet of plywood with 4 rusted nails. Underneath it, wrapped in a flannel shirt, was a flash drive. And a handwritten note. If you're reading this, son, I need you to know the truth. The drive contained a single video file. Timestamped 2:06 a.m., dated just 3 days after Caroline's disappearance. Daniel sat in the sheriff's office, alone, lit by the glow of a single desk lamp. His eyes were bloodshot. His hands trembled as he adjusted the camera. Micah, he said. Or whichever one of you kids finds this someday. I don't know where I'll be when you do, but I pray to God you'll understand why things had to happen this way. He paused, exhaled, then continued. I didn't kill your mother because she cheated. I killed her because she knew what Thomas was doing and she let it happen. She chose to protect him. For years. The camera cut briefly, then resumed. I found the journals. I read her words. He's the only one who ever really loved me. She called it love. But I saw the pictures. I read what he did to her, when she was just a child. What she let him do to you. All of you. Daniel's voice broke. He clenched his fists until they bled. I thought I was raising my kids. I thought I was a father. I was just a placeholder. A fool. He reached off camera and pulled up a bloodied manila envelope. For the record, everything. DNA tests, photos, recordings. I sent a copy to the state attorney. If they don't act, the next move is up to you. Micah stared at the pause screen for a long time. His chest was tight. His hands trembled. Then he clicked play again. I'm sorry, son. I wish I could have been strong enough to raise you without the hate. But it burned everything down. I don't know what happens after this. But if you're watching, it's your turn now. A week later, an anonymous envelope arrived at the St. Helena County Prosecutor's office. Inside were the missing case files, Daniel's manila envelope, containing evidence so disturbing, the assistant DA reportedly vomited after viewing the contents. Photos, letters, therapist reports from decades past. Video footage from a nanny cam Daniel had hidden in the house in the weeks before Caroline's death. Footage showing Thomas entering the home late at night, whispering to children through cracked doors. The story exploded. News outlets across the country ran the headlines. Sheriff's family secret exposed in video will. DNA scandal and incest cover-up rock rural county. Kids born of abuse. Sheriff's confession shines light on multigenerational trauma. But something else came with the envelope. A list. For names. All people who had covered up, ignored, or dismissed reports over the years. And next to each name, a date. One was the same date as the envelope's arrival. That night, Marjorie Clark, the former family court judge who once denied Caroline's emergency protective order request in 1998, was found dead in her home. No forced entry. No signs of struggle. Just a single bullet to the head and a piece of paper taped to the mirror. You let the devil in. Now he's coming for you. 3 more dates. 3 more people. One already fled the country. Another entered witness protection. The last? Micah's current foster father. He was a retired cop who once partnered with Daniel back in the day. He also happened to be one of the first people who cleared Thomas of wrongdoing after a school counselor raised suspicions 15 years earlier. One rainy evening, Micah disappeared from his foster home. Vanished without a trace. No note. No sign of forced exit. Just an open toy box, and the drive now missing. His siblings say he was different before he left. Quieter. More focused. Like he knew something the rest didn't. Some believe Micah is trying to finish what his father started. Others say he's trying to escape the weight of a broken legacy. But then, 2 weeks later, another letter arrived. No return address. No fingerprints. Inside was a single photo. Sheriff Daniel Griggs and young Micah fishing at Miller's Creek. On the back, a handwritten message. Some curses can't be broken. But they can be avenged. Detective Angela Morrow was sipping her 3rd cup of burnt gas station coffee when the call came in. Shots fired. Former deputy targeted. Suspect fled. She didn't flinch when she heard the name. Frank Rourke, retired deputy and once Daniel Griggs' best friend. The same man listed last in the sheriff's posthumous revenge envelope. It had been months since Micah vanished. Most assumed he was dead. Or lost in some institution, shattered by the truth of his twisted upbringing. But now it looked like he was hunting. Frank Rourke survived. Barely. He told the police a boy no older than 14, hooded, silent, steady, pulled the trigger from across the street. Just missed his neck. The kid didn't panic, Rourke muttered from his hospital bed. He just stared at me. Like he was measuring me. Like he already knew how this ends. No fingerprints on the shell casing. No surveillance footage. Just a single playing card left on the porch railing. The Jack of Spades. And scrawled across the card in red marker, debt unpaid. Detective Morrow had been following the Griggs case since the beginning. She didn't believe in ghosts or vigilantes. But something about this case, about that boy, got under her skin. Everywhere she went, doors were closed. Records sealed. People lied or disappeared. Then she got a call from a private investigator, one who had been hired by a mysterious client to track down Micah Griggs. He'd found something strange. Micah had been visiting shelters, libraries, abandoned houses tied to Griggs' family history. He wasn't hiding. He was researching. The turning point came when Morrow tracked down a woman named Deborah Wills, a former school nurse who once reported bruises on Caroline when she was just 12. Her report mysteriously vanished. Her job phased out. When Morrow found her, she was living in a remote cabin under an alias. Caroline was scared all the time, Deborah whispered. Said her brother watched her while she slept. One time, she begged me to help her get away. Said he wasn't just hurting her. Said he hurt the baby too. The baby? Morrow asked. Deborah nodded slowly. That was 1995. Caroline was 14. There had been a seventh child. One who never made it. And maybe, one who never died at all. Morrow returned to the evidence box. There was something Daniel wrote in his letter to Micah, something strange she hadn't thought much of at first. I couldn't save her. But maybe you can save him. He doesn't know the truth. Not yet. But he will. Who was him? Not Micah. Daniel was clearly addressing him. Then who? The answer came 2 weeks later when authorities uncovered an unregistered birth certificate hidden in an old safe box beneath Caroline's maiden name. Baby boy. Born at home. No hospital. No social services. No trace after the date. The name? Liam Griggs. Born 2 years before Daniel and Caroline were married. No DNA ever tested. No legal record after age 1. Morrow stared at the document. A single horrifying thought crept in. What if Micah wasn't the one behind the attacks? What if Liam was? A week later, the second attack happened. Former counselor Meredith Kane, the woman who dismissed early allegations of inappropriate contact between Thomas and his niece, was found strangled in her bathtub. No forced entry. No robbery. Just a note on the mirror written in blood-red lipstick. You said she was lying. And a jack of spades. Again. But this time, there were prints. Not Micah's. The DNA belonged to a 25-year-old male. Unregistered. Untraceable. No official identity. But matched partially to Caroline Griggs. Liam was real. And he had just declared war. Micah, still missing, finally resurfaced online, sort of. An encrypted forum thread appeared on the dark web. Username, Fatherless Son 97. The message was short, chilling. The blood debt is real. But not all blood is guilty. I tried to stop him. I failed. Now he's finishing it. I can't undo what he is. Just pray he doesn't find you next. Attached was an image of Liam standing in front of Thomas's burned-down house, holding a shotgun, staring directly into the camera. Detective Morrow knew this wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about legacy. About a sickness passed from one generation to the next, hidden behind smiles, Sunday services, and sheriff's badges. Micah had discovered the truth. Liam had been born in that truth. One tried to run from it. The other embraced it. Now both were out there. One leaving warnings. The other leaving bodies. On the 1-year anniversary of Daniel Griggs' disappearance, another package arrived at the sheriff's department. Inside, a VHS tape. No return address. No label. The footage showed Daniel, alive, disheveled, standing in what looked like an underground bunker. He stared directly into the camera. I failed, he said. But if you're watching this, there's still time. Behind him, chained to a wall, was a young man with Liam's face, eyes wild, mouth gagged. The VHS footage shook the sheriff's department to its core. Sheriff Daniel Griggs, presumed dead, murderer, martyr, vigilante, was alive. And somehow he had Liam. The room in the video was dimly lit, the concrete walls bare. A steel cot, a bucket, and a single flickering bulb swung overhead. Liam's wrists were chained, his ankles bound. A gag covered his mouth, but even muffled, his growl sent a chill down every spine watching. And then Daniel said something no one expected. He was the first. Caroline's firstborn. The one no one talks about. Conceived when she was 14. Hidden from the world. Hidden from me, until I found her journal. He wasn't just a victim. He liked it. And now he thinks he's finishing what I started. But vengeance isn't justice. It never was. Then he leaned in close to the camera. You've got two choices. End it, or unleash him. The tape ended there. But something inside that bunker, wherever it was, held the last thread of this twisted family story. And Detective Angela Morrow knew she had to find it. Fast. Forensic analysts noticed a subtle watermark on the wall behind Daniel and the tape. M. and Son Cement Company. It was a defunct company that went bankrupt in 1996 after building several underground storm bunkers during the Cold War revival craze in rural Georgia. Cross-referencing construction permits with property records, they found something curious. An unlisted parcel of land bought in 2002 under a shell corporation tied to Caroline Griggs. It was 12 acres of woods. Remote. Silent. Forgotten. And beneath it, a private bunker sealed in concrete and buried under earth. They sent in a team. What they found inside would haunt every officer for the rest of their lives. The bunker was real. The cot, the chains, exact. But Liam was gone. The chains had been ripped from the wall. Blood trailed across the concrete floor like a dragged animal. On the far end of the room was a steel door, welded shut from the outside. Torch marks indicated someone had burned their way out. Next to the cot was a notebook. Micah's handwriting. Shaky. Frantic. He's not just angry. He enjoys it. He told me what he did to them, what he made the twins do. I thought I could save him. I was wrong. Dad locked him down here to protect the world. But it wasn't enough. I came to reason with him. Instead, he smiled at me. He's not human anymore. Back in town, the third target was already dead. Reverend Silas Boone, the man who once counseled Caroline during her teenage years and advised her to keep family matters within the home, was found crucified behind the church. Nailed to a wooden cross. Eyes missing. Tongue cut out. The message carved across his chest. You baptized the devil. The media went feral. Griggs' blood feud turns into serial nightmare. Who is Liam Griggs? And why can't he be stopped? Sheriff turned vigilante, now a fugitive again, but is he a hero or the real monster? Meanwhile, sightings of Micah began popping up. Security footage showed him at a pharmacy in Nashville. At a payphone in Asheville. Always alone. Always looking over his shoulder. He was chasing Liam. And falling apart in the process. Detective Morrow began to see the story differently now. Daniel had tried to contain the fire. Micah tried to put it out. But Liam? Liam was the fire. The next twist came from a DNA database ping. Unidentified blood found at the Reverend's murder scene matched multiple unsolved child abuse cases across the Southeast. In all cases, the DNA was registered but never linked to a known person. Until now. It wasn't just revenge Liam was after. He was erasing enablers. But worse, he had been practicing for years. The trail went back to at least 2016. Multiple murders, all cold. All with a similar MO. Now tied together by one thing. The Jack of Spades. And then the final nail hit. A new video. This time not from Daniel, but Liam. He stood in front of a bonfire, maskless, smiling. Come. You think this is about family? About revenge? No. It's about rot. You cut out one part, it spread somewhere else. So I burn it all. You raised me to be a ghost. Now I'm the shadow they pray won't return. He turned the camera toward the fire. The body of Judge Nance, who presided over Caroline's last abuse case and dismissed it for lack of credible testimony, burned in the flames. And then Liam spoke again. Micah, I know you're watching. You were always Dad's favorite. But we both know what we are. Come find me. Let's finish this. Then the screen went black. Justice denied doesn't die. It festers. And someday it knocks louder than the law ever could. Detective Morrow returned to her car after giving a press briefing. On her windshield, a playing card, Queen of Hearts, and written on it in red ink, "You're next, Angela." It wasn't just revenge anymore. It was purification, one soul at a time, no matter the cost. Detective Angela Morrow stared at the Queen of Hearts card on her windshield. Her name written in crimson ink, "You're next, Angela." There was no mistaking the message. Liam Griggs wasn't hiding. He was hunting. And now he had marked her. Inside the precinct, the atmosphere had changed. The Griggs case was no longer treated like a rogue revenge spree. It was officially declared a domestic terrorist threat. The FBI was now involved, but Morrow wasn't about to hand over everything to people who didn't know the history, the rot, the lies buried in that damn family. The truth was this. Micah had vanished. Daniel was alive but untraceable. And Liam had become something worse than a killer. He was a believer. In his own twisted gospel. The next murder happened 2 towns over. A retired school principal, Evelyn Granger, once accused of covering up sexual misconduct at Caroline's middle school, was found hung in her greenhouse. The words, "I saw and stayed silent," were scrawled on the glass in her own blood. Next to her body, nailed to the wall, the 10 of spades with a photo of a young Caroline clipped to it. A child's handwriting on the back of the photo. She told her. She laughed. Angela finally did something she swore she wouldn't. She visited Caroline's grave. The tombstone was simple. Caroline Marie Griggs. Beloved wife and mother. 1979 to 2024. But the grass had been dug up recently. Fresh dirt. Uneven. A disturbance. She looked closer. No flowers. No memorials. Just a small wooden stake driven into the soil with a card wedged under it. King of Hearts. And on the back. You buried the lie. I will bury the rest. Oh. Angela's stomach turned. The entire deck was being played. And she was holding no cards. She made a choice. It was time to find Daniel Griggs. If he was alive, he was the only one who could end this. Maybe not with force, but with truth. She started with Micah's journal, recovered from the bunker. One entry stood out. He used to hum in his sleep. A hymn. One Dad always hated. Farther along. He'd say it's not a song. It's a warning. When I asked him why, he just said, "Because I heard her sing it while dying." Angela searched local church records. Only one church in the area, Willow Creek Baptist, listed Farther Along as a signature funeral hymn during the month of Caroline's death. The pastor there was old, nearly blind, but he remembered the burial. She was buried alone, he said. No family came. Just the man who paid in cash. Said his name was Darnell. But he didn't look like a Darnell. He handed Angela the funeral ledger. Darnell signed in Daniel's handwriting. The address he gave? A cabin in Black Hollow. An old Griggs family hunting property. Angela drove there that night. No backup. No authorization. Just her sidearm, a flashlight, and a knot of dread in her gut. The cabin was dark, abandoned on the outside, but inside it was lived in. Cans of food, a cot, a stack of newspapers, and pinned to the wall, photos of Liam, of victims, of Micah, and in the center a burned photo of Caroline, half her face gone. Angela turned, heart hammering, and found herself face to face with Daniel Griggs. He looked old, haggard, a man who had lost every war he ever fought. But his eyes, they were still sheriff eyes. He spoke first. "I knew you'd come," he rasped. "Liam's too far gone. But Micah, he still has a chance." Angela stepped forward. "Where is Liam?" Daniel looked past her. "Closer than you think." A loud snap behind the cabin. Then the unmistakable sound of a Molotov cocktail shattering. The cabin's rear wall went up in flames. Angela turned just in time to see a figure running through the trees. She chased, gun drawn. No words. Just the pounding of boots and firelight flickering through the forest. Then she tripped, fell hard, and when she looked up he was there. Liam. No mask. Just a twisted smile. "You're the first one who asked about her," he said softly. "The first one who saw her as more than just a baby maker for men like him." He pointed toward the cabin. Smoke curling into the air. "But you're still part of the machine. And every machine has to break eventually." He raised a knife. Angela fired. Twice. Liam dropped to his knees. Blood soaked his shirt. But he grinned through it. "Farther along," he whispered. Then collapsed. Angela rushed to him. Checked his pulse. Gone. But something clutched in his hand caught her eye. A photo. A little girl. Caroline, age 6. And written on the back in Liam's handwriting. "She wasn't the first. But I'll make sure I'm the last." Angela returned to the burning cabin. Daniel was gone. Only his badge remained. Melted. Warped. But still there. Weeks later, as Angela testified in the state's emergency hearing on abuse cover-ups, her assistant handed her an envelope. Inside, a playing card. Ace of spades. And on it, just 3 words scrawled in Micah's handwriting. "He's not dead." The ace of spades. 3 words, "He's not dead." Micah's handwriting. No return address. No fingerprints. Angela Morrow had stared at it for days. She had buried Liam Griggs herself, or at least the body that was declared him. So why would Micah say that? Unless he saw something. Or worse, he helped him disappear. A call came in from South Carolina. A woman and her 2 kids found murdered in a farmhouse. Duct tape. Binding rope. A card left behind on the kitchen table. 2 of spades. And in the mirror, smeared in blood, "Children pay for secrets adults bury." The FBI tried to spin it as a copycat. Angela knew better. It wasn't just another killing. It was Liam's next move. Angela went to the last person who could possibly have answers. Micah. She found him in a rundown motel outside Knoxville. Bearded. Paranoid. Living off vending machine snacks and trauma. He didn't even flinch when he opened the door and saw her. "Been waiting," he said. "He's not done." Angela stared at him. "You said he wasn't dead." Micah nodded slowly. "Because I didn't bury him." Angela's voice sharpened. "Then who the hell did we bury?" Micah closed his eyes. "A body from the cabin. Burned. Dressed like Liam. I helped him fake it. I thought if the world believed he was dead, he'd stop." Angela clenched her fists. "And now?" Micah shook his head. "Now I think he just wanted a head start." They sat together in silence until Micah finally handed her a flash drive. "What's this?" she asked. "Proof. Of what he found. What they did to her. Caroline. And others." He didn't just snap Angela. He documented everything. Videos, files, names. Angela plugged it into her laptop. What she saw was worse than she ever imagined. Dozens of men. Some dead. Some very much alive. Judges, coaches, family friends, priests. All tied to a decades-long abuse ring hidden by privilege, fear, and small-town silence. Caroline had been passed around as a child. Her mother was complicit. Her brother, the father of her children, was the start, not the end. And every name on that list? Liam had marked. Each one assigned a card. Angela sat frozen. Sick. Ashamed. But most of all, angry. She finally understood. Liam wasn't just killing out of revenge. He was eliminating the roots of a family tree poison from the soil up. 2 weeks later, 4 men from the video footage were found dead. Card left behind, 5 of spades. Burned into one of their chests. You buried her. I bury you. Angela made her decision. She leaked the footage to the press. All of it. The names. The abuses. The cover-ups. The country exploded in outrage. The governor called for emergency hearings. The FBI raided 6 properties in 3 states. It was chaos. But finally, truth was louder than silence. Then one final message came. A small envelope. No return address. Inside the Joker card. And a note. The deck is finished. But Jokers never belong to the game. I was born from fire. Let the world rebuild from the ashes. Oh. Liam Griggs was never seen again. No body. No confirmed sightings. Just whispers, rumors, and justice left in his wake. Micah disappeared too. Some say he started over. Others say he's hunting Liam to end what his father never could. Angela returned to her post. Promoted. Decorated. Haunted. She knew there were others out there, other secrets. But she also knew this. You don't need a badge to serve justice. Sometimes you need a match. The truth always rises. Even if it has to burn through the lies to do it. Years later, a boy picks up an old playing card on a beach. A queen of hearts, worn and soaked. He turns to his mother. Mom, what's this? She takes the card from his hand. Smiles faintly. Just a ghost, she says. Let's keep walking. The waves crash behind them. In the distance, a shadow watches from the dunes. Then disappears.